Hi, my name is Father Mike. Just kidding. Hi, my name is Father Mike Schmitz, and this is Ascension Presents. So years ago, there was a guy named O.J. Simpson who was on trial for like some serious stuff. And so this was one of the first trials that I remember, at least, that was like fully broadcast. I don't know if it was just because it was the new 24-hour news cycle kind of a thing or what, but it was the first time I remember it being like, if you wanted to, you could have watched the entire trial. I did not want to because I had a life. But here's what would happen was people would always ask everyone, people would ask me like, hey, what do you think? What do you think, he's guilty? You think he's guilty? You think he's innocent? And my answer would always be the same, like, I don't know. And they would say, yeah, but what do you think? Like, I don't know. Like, no, but you at least you have to have an opinion. And my response was always this sense of like, no, I don't know enough to have an opinion. Like, I don't have enough information to have an opinion. They're like, well, you read the newspapers. But here's the thing, we all know this, right? Especially right now, to just read the newspapers is not giving you the full story. If I wanted to have an opinion on the verdict of the O.J. Simpson trial, I would have to watch all of the coverage. I would have to see all of the evidence that is presented to the jury in order to make any kind of informed decision. I can't just rely upon a headline or upon some newspaper to tell me what they think is important. Like, again, I was relatively familiar with the details of the trial, but I also knew, and I still know, that I do not know enough information to have an opinion. And I think this is really important when it comes to like, when we're dealing with other people, the people around us, there's that sense of like, what do you think about so-and-so? What do you think about this thing going on over here? Even stuff in the church, what do you think about this going on in the church? Like, if I don't know, I have to say, I don't have enough information to have an opinion. And then leave it at that. Now, that's not the same thing as abdicating one's responsibility to become informed. But there is such a thing as I don't deserve to have an opinion on this topic. Or at least the opinion that I have is what I have to disclaim is an uninformed opinion. There's a big temptation to ask people to kind of, whether it's weigh in or criticize or correct other people or other organizations or whatever the thing is. And whenever we have that inclination inside of us, I think it's worthwhile noting a couple things. One is, I have to know the four questions. I need to know why, I need to know what, I need to know who, and I need to know how. If I really want to weigh in on something, I should evaluate my motives. Is my motive because I want to be right? Is my motive because I want to fix someone? Is my motive because, and I'm going to correct you because I'm just angry, I'm mad at you? Now, I find a lot of people who seem to be really interested in correcting the church because they're just angry. Like, okay, well, there are certain things in life for real that are worth being angry about. But there seems to be, sometimes, you can notice a certain kind of glee in people when it's like, oh, you busted, see, we got you. Like, okay, so is this vengeance or is this justice? Is it vengeance is just, I'll feel better by, taking my aggression out on this person? Or is it for justice? Like, no, this is actually the right thing to do. So why? Number two is what? Like, what's the thing that I want to critique? What's the thing I want to have an opinion about? What's the thing I want to correct? Now, it has to be a real thing. It has to be the truth, not just something that's my opinion. It has to be like something that is a principle, not just a preference. So as an example, think about this in church circles, because why not? This is a kind of churchy channel. I have this collar thing. When it comes to your priest, there could be something like, oh, I don't like how he prays the Mass. Like, I don't like that he has his hands like this, or he has his hands like this, or he looks up when he prays, or he reads from the Roman Missal. That's the book he prays from. I don't like that. That's a preference. And so if I were to come to the priest and say, Father, you need to change this. Like, well, I understand, maybe, but that what issue, the what you're correcting him on, or what you have an opinion on, is simply a preference. Versus like, okay, you changed a lot of stuff. So one of the rules of thumb for priests is when it comes to that book, the Roman Missal, you say the black and you do the red, because the black is like what you say out loud, and the red is what you're doing when you're saying this out loud. And so if the priest did not do the red, or was not saying the actual black, what was written in black, then yeah, that's a principle thing. Number three, who? Like, who am I? That's the big question. Like, what is my relationship with this person? If I'm going to offer my opinion, if I'm going to offer some correction, I have to be really, really clear on, Is our relationship the kind of relationship that is open to me offering my opinion? When it comes to offering correction to someone, do I have their permission to offer them correction? Like, do I have their permission to offer them my opinion? Or is this unsolicited advice? I think I meant to mention this in a video years ago, but I remember someone telling me this. They said that unasked for or unsolicited advice is always criticism. Like, oh, wow, that's good to know. Like, no, I'm just helping you out. Like, yeah, but I didn't ask for your help, so you're criticizing something. The fourth thing is how. Obviously, how is going to be massively important. There are people who speak truth on a regular basis. They speak the truth that needs to be said, but we all know it's one thing to speak the truth that needs to be said. It's another thing to say it in the way that can be heard. Now, this is the key. Because why? Because there's two sides of communication. There's what's said and there's what's heard. There's what's offered, there's what's received. And so I think there's some people who like people who just kind of, pull the pin on the grenade and throw it into the china shop and let the grenade bowl, just kind of go to town. That typically is out of a sense of vengeance, isn't it? It seems to me. There's also another way to communicate hard truths or hard corrections or hard opinions, or even just, here's what needs to be said. How I say it needs to be based on the mode of the listener, on the mode of the receiver. Here's what, again, I just kind of say this a couple times. If, I just need to say things straight, I'm going to call it like I see it, and I'm going to say the hard words that need to be said. Okay, it's fine. But am I taking into account the person who I want to receive what I'm trying to say? Am I taking into account the fact that if I say it a certain way, then they'll get it, they'll hear it more clearly? Because I'm not saying this for myself, I'm saying it for them. So that's the how. That should dictate kind of the how I'm saying this thing. So again, the why, like what's my motivation? Like what do I want to accomplish here? The what, am I talking about something that's merely my preference, or am I talking about something that's actually truth? The who, what's our relationship? And then the how. Now at the same time, with the how, with all these things, a word of advice, well, here I am offering advice. Busted. Well, how does Jesus say to offer our correction, or to maybe even say like offer our opinion, or whatever the thing is, when it comes to personal stuff? He says to go to the person. Then he says to take a couple people to go to the person. And he says if they still won't listen, go to the church. Here's what he doesn't say. He doesn't say if they still won't listen, go to the world and air all their dirty laundry online. Like he actually says, when you're talking about a brother or talking about a sister, go to them directly. Let this be personal. Secondly, if they don't listen to you, bring a group of people who would help. If they don't listen to the group of people, bring it to the church. But at no point does Jesus say the last step is air all of their dirty laundry online or where the world can see it. Now, is there a space for that? Probably, maybe somewhere. I know that's not my role, particularly when it comes to offering my opinion about a brother or a sister, or weighing in on, some of those basic issues that most of us deal with on a daily basis. That's not to say that some things or some things that are evil shouldn't be exposed. Of course they should. Of course they should. But it is to say that when you and I engage in this sharing opinion or sharing correction, we need to keep those things in mind. Just a thought. Before we take a break, Jeff Cavins and I are going to Israel in June of 2020, and I just wanted to invite you to look there's a link below, and follow it and find out if that's something that you are interested in. It is a big trip. It is a big commitment in time. It's a commitment of money, but it's a commitment that is definitely more like an investment. My life has changed since I've been to the Holy Land, and I think yours will too. So check it out, June 2020, Israel pilgrimage with Jeff Cavins and myself and a bunch of other people. In the meantime, for all of us here at Ascension Presents, my name's Father Mike. God bless. And keep your opinions to yourself, for crying out loud.